What's up, guys? We are back with another revisit. Today we got the LG G8X here. So I really like this phone. These phones are going super cheap, and like I said, a lot of you guys who live overseas been asking me about these phones, and they're very cheap, so I can see why they are very popular. You guys want to know about them. I really like these phones. Like I said, any phone with the Snapdragon 855 chip, guys, is going to be a very good buy. I think it's going to be much better than a budget mid-range option for the most part here. I think the only downside again with the Snapdragon 855 phones is they just stopped getting, security patches, and that's pretty much all of them, pretty much. So let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. So the G8X, the cool thing about this phone is that, like I said, $100 and has a lot going for it here. And I want to go ahead and talk about the design. When I picked the phone up, I actually really like the way the phone feels in the hand. It's a very comfortable phone to hold for sure. Very smooth on the edges here. And what's awesome about, these older LG devices is that they do have the headphone jack on here with the quad DAC. So you get some very high quality audio on this phone as well too. Have our Google Assistant button on here as well too, which is really sweet. And like I said, it just feels really nice in the hand. Actually, what's cool about these LG phones is that these phones have a completely flat camera. So there's no camera bump on here. So you can see when you put it actually, down, you can see these phones do not wobble or move, or they actually do slip and slide a lot, but they don't have that little wobbling thing. But that's what I noticed. These phones, they will like slip off a table super. The display on the G8X still is pretty nice. I think it's much better than the original G8 that had the bigger notch. This has the water drop notch, and it's an OLED panel here. It's HDR10, and this phone does have the dual screen case capability as well too. So you can go ahead and basically turn it into two phones. Which is pretty awesome. But it's 1080p display here. That's the only difference between this and the G8's display, is that the G8 was 1440p. This is 1080p. It still looks pretty good. Honestly, you won't be able to tell too much of a difference unless you're watching 1440p content. But the PPI is 403, so it still is a very nice looking display, very sharp. But yes, the original G8's display was definitely high resolution and had a higher PPI as well too. But again, this display still looks very good. It's still bright for outdoors, very colorful panel. And, like I said, still pretty sharp. Icons still look pretty good. So I really like this display. And again, you get that dual screen case capability, which is pretty nice. All right, so let's talk about these specs a little bit more. So one of the best things about owning an older flagship phone is, I always say, the gaming experience is going to be crazy. Again, like for the USA, this phone is $100 and we're able to play HDR Extreme for PUBG here, and it's super smooth, guys. Very consistent 60 frames on here, and that's what I said. Snapdragon 855 on here. You also have micro SD card support on this phone, 128 gigs of internal storage, and you also have 6 gigs of RAM on this phone as well too. So you're gonna get top tier performance, or maybe not top tier, but you're gonna get way better performance than you would get on a mid-range device or a budget phone. You can't really find a phone for $100 that's going to get you this type of gaming experience. Not only that, but the whole phone is still pretty much giving you a very premium experience. So you guys know I love older flagships, so I really like to preach this to people that this is a really good deal, guys. But yeah, if you are a gamer, competitive PUBG gamer, on a budget, this will definitely do well, guys. Easy. You can see, guys, very consistent 60 frames on here. And like I said, I'm at HDR Extreme, so it just plays really great. Even at smooth settings, it still is gonna play pretty good at the lowest settings at 60 frames. But yeah, guys, very, very smooth. You can see no issues at all. And not only that, but these Snapdragon 855 phones, they don't get hot. So that's one thing that I really love about these phones as well too. Really don't get hot. Well, they can, obviously all phones are going to get warm, but I'm telling you, compared to 8 Gen 1 or something like that, these phones, very, very good at managing, heat. The G8 does have dual speakers. Pretty good speakers, great quality coming from the top speaker. And yeah, so really do like that. And also we have our in-display fingerprint sensor, which is, you know, not the fastest one. It's an optical one. So you can see you definitely got to apply a little bit of pressure here. But with these LG phones, you can use Face Unlock as well too, which is really nice. It's IP68 dust and water resistant as well too, and this phone has wireless charging, so you kind of have all the bells and whistles on top of having that quad DAC. Now the G8X has pretty good cameras, guys. It's got a 12 megapixel standard and a 13 megapixel ultra wide, 4K 60, and then a 32 megapixel selfie, shoots in 4K 30. The camera on this phone still takes some pretty good shots, surprisingly. You'd be surprised. Just like I said, with pretty much all older flagship phones, you will definitely get some really good quality if you're in good lighting. If you take it out of good lighting, it pretty much shows its age. Images start to look a little soft, but that's pretty much it. I think I feel like the pictures speak for themselves, guys. Pretty good dynamic range, pretty good natural color science as well too. So yeah, I don't have any issues with the image quality on the G8X. I think it's pretty good still. Now the battery performance on this phone is still pretty good. Obviously, if you buy older phones, you know that you might get a little bit of degrading with the battery health. But basically this phone surprisingly can still get me around 6 hours of screen on time, which I thought was pretty impressive for a light user. So I've never had this phone actually die on me in a day. The battery size on here is pretty decent. So it's a 4,000 milliamp battery on here. You also have 21 watt fast charging, and again you have that wireless charging, so battery life is not too bad on this phone. So yeah, so I think another classic LG device here, RPLG. Yeah, so I just really like this phone, guys, and like I said, very cheap if you like to collect phones and stuff like that. I think this is a cool phone you can add to your collection, or if you just want to use it as a backup phone, I think it's really cool too as well for that. Honestly, you can still rock this as a main phone. I mean, it has more stuff than a lot of new phones, right? Headphone jack is still here, quad DAC, SD card support, dual screen case capability. It still has a lot of stuff going for it.